Picture this for me. I want you to see yourself feeling like you're on top of the world. Take a moment, pause the video, and really feel into this. Like, what does a morning where you're on top of the world feel like to you? And have you ever had those mornings where you were beyond inspired to jump out of bed? At some point you have. If you are lucky enough to have magical mornings as a kid, then you probably had several. Easter and Christmas come to the mind as prime examples of those can't wait to get out of bed moments. But how much of this do we get to experience as adults? This is the question. Is it something that we can tap into, or is it something that's just meant for kids? I used to think that getting out of bed for the joy of living was something people lied about. A lie that people sold from the stage, and it was only a rite of passage for childhood. Except it happened to me, and I'm very keen on learning and exploring the ways to get back there. Because one thing we'll learn about inspiration is it comes and it goes. And as it turns out, that top of the world feeling isn't a lie sold from stage. That's the good news. It is a physiological and psychological state that is very much there. We are just so damn good at buying into our negativity instead. Think about how many people are waking up dreading their day, their job, and everything in between. What is depressing about this, though, is that when we wake up with those dreaded thoughts, it makes everything 100 times worse. There's science behind this, that if you are waking up with dread, it rises your cortisol and causes a crash response from your nervous system. That's where we get the freeze. So when you wake up feeling crappy and dreading that horrible shit coming at you of the morning, like I gotta do this, I gotta do that, the voices that begin to start nagging you, get your lazy ass out of bed. So what does your body do with that choice, with the dread? Well, it adds resistance. It's saying, hey, we're not okay here, something's wrong. It releases a surge of cortisol, the stress chemical, just to piss you off even more. Well, the body is communicating, but that's what happens. The dread causes more stress. So a chemical party throughout your entire body ends up happening. And if you make it through that hurdle and start designing a better life for yourself, then you must also face the next hurdle, the self-fulfilling prophecies. These are the ones that bash around in your head, the little goal-getter gremlins that come for you. And they want you to do well, but they show up in ways of shoulds. You start to should yourself. I should be further along by now. I should spend more time with the people I love. These are some of the shoulds that come to our minds. Or as one of my friends loves to say, you start to should all over yourself. And when you add these layers, what happens is you wake up and it's gone. No reason to get up early. It is as if something has vacuumed the spirit out of you. Like you literally feel dead and depleted. So when we say spirit, maybe you might think of ghosts or rituals or holy-like associations, but we're not necessarily thinking of that way. But let's not dismiss it just yet, because we're very tied to being spiritual beings. But what we are talking about is attitude, or closer, the spirit of your being. We are so good at labeling bad attitudes, but do we ever actually hear about the good? Like, I very rarely hear people talk about good attitudes. So for your spirit to be in good spirits, you must also have a good attitude. And this is where the attitude piece comes in. It is so important for us to have a good attitude for achieving the goals that we want to achieve. Now, that's not saying it's not necessarily motivation, but it's the good attitude of what are you telling yourself as you're on your way to your goals? When you get to that stagnation point, are you able to have a good attitude to get past the challenges that a lot of people don't? If you can learn to have a good attitude and get past your challenges in life, business, any endeavor you choose, any domain of the wheel of life, whether that be hobbies, whether that be time with family, by working on this, that's when you're able to create better changes and results for yourself with a good attitude. It's the good attitude that gets you beyond the line that a lot of people won't cross. So many people will give up when they get to those points that challenge their attitudes, that challenge those results, and you watch them fall away. So your competition is ultimately yourself. And we know this, it's spoken about a lot, but the competition is that ability to have a good attitude about the things you're competing in. And maybe competing is not the right word, competing might be more of a different lens, but the good attitude is the lens that takes you further. And it all starts with mornings. How you get up and born again each day. how do you treat that day? So these blissful mornings we're talking about are the versions of us that are in high spirits. The kind that gets you pumped up and inspired to leap out of bed instead of rushing that stress hormone through your body. So you have to know when something is pulling you forward, when you're inspired, and when your spirit is high. These are the key indicators of when something's going to work out for you, because it's aligned with where you're trying to head to. It's aligned with spirit. And while we're not ruling out the Holy Spirit, I don't want to, not the Holy Spirit, but that word lives, it still is very much tied to the essence of our being. And we are born again each day. Our eyes open, and it's up to us what we do with that day. And not every day is the same, I get that. That's why I make the content and I do, because I struggle with it so much, with anxiety, depression, all of the cocktail chemicals that we all actually face. But to be able to get to where people want to head to, where the goals that we're putting in place, for what it is that they're aiming for, these are the topics that we need to be able to deal with, because if they're not there, then we can find ourselves working against ourselves. If you can't tell from the dives that I've been doing in self-sabotage, this is absolutely fascinates me. We indeed tend to ruin our own results with our fears patterns running through. So there was a moment recently that sort of triggered all this in the purpose of this particular video, when someone said a person had lost their light. And this really stayed with me because this person is no longer with us. And it hit me in a way that we rarely sit with for very long. But people can see when your spirit fades with a sense of awareness that we don't really like to admit. They can see what we're capable of, even when you can't see it in yourself. The instinct when we lose our mojo is to label it with meaning. We are meaning creatures. Everything has meaning, yet nothing has meaning. So a bad attitude might be labeled as no motivation, something's off with me, I'm stuck. And self-sabotage can really make us very sensitive when our spirit is dimmed. And we start to compare ourselves, like everyone seems clearly driven. They have it all figured out. But do they really? What you're seeing does not stay fixed. The people you admire, they are just further along in the cycle where their uptick has reached them, or they're doing the right things to pump themselves up to enter better spirits. But I need you to realize that they have their own goals. The people that you admire have their own goals. It does not end, and nor should it. Growing is ever ongoing. So let's take a moment to pause here and just take that moment to think about what are the goals that you have achieved and where you are now. Like seriously, pause the video and acknowledge those things. You are very much in the next phase of where you're trying to head to. So we need to see it as important for the journey to be enjoyed as much as where we're trying to head to, the destination. Because if we look at people and assume that they're a go-getter, they've got it all figured out, you can be rest assured that they do not have it all figured out. Any government agency, celebrity, or nana is 100% making things up on the spot. This really dawned on me when I went from being a student to a teacher, and seeing the other side of my 12 years of education was really eye-opening. I thought I was going to get to the other side and it was going to have a blueprint and it all made sense, and my education was something that was like curated for the betterment of my experience and my development out there. And don't get me wrong, I had great teachers. But it is safe to say that most of my education was likely improvised. There is no perfect plan for teaching. I'll tell you that right now. And the same goes for life. So nobody's waiting to be perfect before putting in things in place that impact you. Certainly not the government. They're just working on something and figuring it out as they go. And so should you. The feeling of waking up with energy comes from having something to work towards. Having something to learn that actually pulls you out of bed. The key to a high spirit is having the following 3 things present. We need a clear path, a project, and something you are genuinely interested in learning. Being energized about your projects doesn't stay contained. It bursts out like a happy bubble of energy around you. It brightens everything and shapes your entire personal world. This is where it shows up in the way you speak, in the way you present yourself, in the ways that you inspire others to do the same. It has a flow-on effect. That's all. May you find each day with an energy for getting out of bed for, and let it shine throughout your entire day in only a way you